Hey there, I'm Phil Pallen, a brand strategist, a keynote speaker, and a content creator. I am so happy you're here, the Social Pulse Summit Retail Edition. In this session, we are tackling the topic of how Pinterest is primed to be a retailer's hidden gem. I'm talking maximum results with minimal effort. In fact, I'm going to share my screen now and show you. I feel strongly that Pinterest is a must-have for every retailer's content workflow. And I'm going to back that statement up today, and I'm going to draw on my own experience as an agency owner, as a content creator, but also as someone that works with personal brands and company brands, some of which you're seeing on the screen. Pinterest has been really almost like a wild card over the years. Really, my work is focused on this, mastering your first impression online, and Pinterest has played a really important role in that. It's always been a tool that's intrigued me. In comparison to other social media platforms, it's not usually one that's at the top of people's priority list, and yet, which I'll make an argument for today, it is one that is very compelling and really easy to implement in terms of a path of lesser resistance. Now, as a brand strategist, I've been active for over 12 years now, 365 clients, and counting in over 34 countries. I'll keep my intro short because I really want to keep this more about you and value for you as we discuss Pinterest and the role that it plays within your digital marketing as a retailer with an already long to-do list. So I'm hopeful that this adds very little to it. Day to day, I'm helping people and companies position, build, and promote their brands. Really, when I distill my work down into a single sentence, that's exactly where it's focused. I would say promotion is really where Pinterest for me falls into in terms of the organization. I'm looking at priority platforms, and for many of my clients, Pinterest is up there, and even one that they don't think of a lot of times. In addition to owning an agency, I'm also a keynote speaker and a content creator who helps professionals leverage personal branding and business tools for success. I know and I feel this. The idea of adding something new, something else to your plate can feel really overwhelming. My goal is in the minutes we spend together today, you will feel less overwhelmed about incorporating this powerful platform into your agency's offering and strategy. So that's me. That's my social handle. I look forward to connecting with all of you. The link in the bottom right is a link to some Pinterest templates that I'll talk more about coming up. I think it'll be useful for you. I always find, when I'm learning new things, if there's a template that's provided, then it often helps me actually take action on the new ideas that I've learned. So that's really my intention today. On screen, you're seeing my priority platforms as a personal brand. Really, my personal brand is me, but it's also my company. Personal branding, kind of meta there. Instagram is a platform that I enjoy creating on. And so when I talk about and give advice on prioritizing platforms, I'm often saying, what app do you when clients say, well, which social media platform should I be prioritizing? I say to them, which one do you open in line at the grocery store? Which social media platform do you enjoy using? Chances are that's one that you should prioritize. Instagram is certainly that for me. YouTube, I'll talk more about right now. That's the one that's most aligned for me with work. As a content creator, and this is a relatively new business vertical for me, I've worked with over 80 brands over the last few years, partnering with them to create content that promotes their platforms and softwares and tools. And so YouTube, I don't miss a publishing date. I publish at least once, usually twice a week, Wednesday and Saturday. And I love creating videos. I love creating content. And YouTube is valuable for me because the content you create really has a long lifespan. I would actually say the same about Pinterest, which is my third priority platform. The content you're creating on Pinterest is not going to die in a week like it often does on platforms like Instagram. And I would also say Pinterest is the easiest platform to show up. It is one of the highest traffic referrers on my website, which I'm tracking through, Google Analytics. Very simply, I can see that this social media platform is sending me more traffic than others that take a lot of my time to show up on regularly. And that analogy I used a second ago, when you're opening a social media platform in line at the grocery store, Pinterest is one of those for me. It's one that I really enjoy using. It's a tool that I've incorporated into my own workflow. And I'll talk about more on that in a second. Let's actually now look at some numbers, okay? And so when I take my 3 priority platforms and I distill it down in terms of how many accounts I'm able to reach versus how much time it takes me to create on the platform. Let's first look at Instagram, where let's say I took this time span from a few months ago. In about a month, I was able to reach 70,000 accounts on Instagram, and I'm basing this on the analytics that I can access as a business or as a creator profile on Instagram. If you have one of those profiles, you can go and take a look at this yourself. And when I factor in, or even when I estimate how much time I spend to create content that gets me in front of 70,000 accounts, I average 8 hours. Okay, it's a long time. That's stories, that's Instagram lives, it's feed posts, reels. That's about how long I spend in a month. And I'd have to say sometimes it's more than that. But again, I'm estimating. So it takes me about 8 hours to reach 70,000 people, give or take, differs month to month. When I look at the same for YouTube, I'm able to reach about 74,000, in this case, not a direct comparison, but comparable views earned. So 74,000. Now, YouTube takes me longer to create, 16 hours. So that's double the time it takes me to create on Instagram to access that same that same number of people. And I love that on YouTube, my subscribers are constantly growing and it's motivating me to keep creating. But certainly some videos, especially the ones I really love, I have high expectations for. A lot of them won't have the kind of traction that maybe a video I posted 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago, or even a year later. Sometimes those videos can pick up views, and it's the ones I usually rushed or I'm not super proud of that all of a sudden take off. That's just, Murphy's Law or something like that. So the final look at metrics here is really fascinating. You're looking at on screen, essentially the culmination of my time in a month spent showing up online. Pinterest, when I look at an average month, 30 days performance, 3.5 million impressions. Okay, again, we're comparing slightly different metrics here: accounts reached, views earned, impressions. I know it's not a direct comparison, but just flow with me on this. It takes me less than an hour every month to reach 3.5 million impressions. That is mind-blowing. And it's true. I'm not exaggerating when I say that I only spend about an hour every month doing what I need to do to show up on Pinterest, leveraging the content I'm already creating for all the other platforms that I'm active on. So let me walk through how that's possible. I'm going to actually show you on screen my content workflow, and you are welcome to take this and rip it off, and I encourage it to really sketch out your own version of this. And this is cool. I love diving into this even when I'm working with clients to understand, their content workflow, and really from a standpoint of, yes, serving your audience, but also serving yourself. Into 2024, content creation can't just be about showing up on other people's radar. This really needs to be about you and what fulfills you, and how creating, or the act of creating content, can actually fulfill you, your creators, your marketing team, the business owners as a retailer. I often talk, in the terms of personal branding, but it's really no different when I'm working with a company or a retailer, for example. We still need to position you in a humanizing way to stand out from the crowd. And so an example of that for me, a lot of ideas originate in a podcast discussion with my co-host Lauren, who works with me on all of our client projects. You know what? We wouldn't otherwise take half an hour, 40 minutes here and there scheduled in our calendar to discuss and brainstorm and think together about new ideas, unless it's in the form of a podcast, which obviously brings other people in on that experience, that discussion. So for me, long-form content creation begins as a podcast. And for me, it's just the best way to have another mind in on discussions that then become something else. So the next immediate step would be a blog. And Lauren, again, my co-host and she works with my colleague, she works with me on all of our client projects. She heads this up. And actually, when we're recording a podcast episode, she'll take notes that now even it's crazy to think about the difference in the ways that we can leverage AI now versus even a year ago, we're able to use a series of AI tools to help us turn that into a blog post. That's a topic for a whole other day. But as soon as we're able to turn that into a blog post from that recording, then I carry that information that's discussed in the podcast and built out in a blog post. I will typically take that content and turn it into a video. A YouTube video for me really is 3 to 5 ideas on a particular topic that I think are valuable. I like creating videos, I like teaching, and so this is just a really good format that allows me to create content in a way that I find fulfilling, that I really enjoy. So let's keep going because it doesn't stop there. By now, after having a podcast episode, a blog post written, and a YouTube video created, it's very easy for me to turn this into content on Instagram. And it can be in various forms. It could be a reel. So sometimes at the end of a YouTube video, I shouldn't say sometimes, it's most of the time, at the end of filming a YouTube video, I'll distill that content, which I'm very familiar with when we're done, into a 1-minute vertical video, which doubles as a YouTube short and as an Instagram reel. If I want, I can also put that over on TikTok. I'm not a big TikTok guy, although I do big believer in the platform, especially as a way to increase discoverability. It still has much higher discoverability than other social media platforms, although Pinterest is up there as well. For me, though, it's really easy to just put some text together, even copy and paste from the blog post, even simplify from there, even from my script for a YouTube video, and turn that into a carousel on Instagram, or as I mentioned, a reel, 1 minute on average. From there, we're still not done. This is the final stage of my content workflow, which is creating Pinterest pins. And the only way that this is easy for me, and the only way that I'm able to incorporate this into my workflow consistently, is by having templates that I work from in my brand colors and fonts and layouts. And I'm sharing templates that I want you to customize on your own. That's philpallen.co/pin-templates. Okay, that's the link. I'll leave it in the bottom right-hand corner for the rest of the presentation. But this is really how I'm able to create the content I need to show up on Pinterest quickly. If I had more hours in the day, I would get even more intricate with the pins that I design. But for me, right, you can create idea pins, and you can create, you can be putting those, I talked about vertical video. This is something I plan to incorporate more into 2024. I'm certainly not claiming to be the #1 expert on Pinterest. This is really a work in progress, as it is with everything. But I hope to start putting those vertical videos that I'm creating for YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels on Pinterest as well, which also hosts those. Let's now kind of switch gears and talk about this quote that I think is really powerful. This is a quote that I heard directly from someone at Pinterest. I think this was at Adobe Max a few months ago. But it's really interesting when we think about the power of this quote. People come to Pinterest to pay attention and actively search, not just passively scroll. When we start to compare Pinterest in the ways that it's different from other social media platforms, think about how useful, how vital the content you're already creating for your clients, even for your own agency, for your clients' audiences. Think about how vital that content is for the people who are actively searching for it. This is kind of the moment where we need to stop thinking about Pinterest as a social media platform and more as a visual search engine, which is really, how I've evolved my own thinking about YouTube. Yes, I kind of count it as a social media platform, but it really is a visual, or in this case, a video search engine. This is where people go for answers. And Pinterest functions in a very similar way. So I love that quote. I want to give you one more quote that I heard directly from Pinterest. On Pinterest, inspiration is the new influence. Inspiration is the new influence. Think about that for a second, and I'll use my own Pinterest account as an example here to kind of make this case. Here you'll see that I organize all kinds of pins. I really use this as my location to save inspiration for branding projects. If you think about, people often describe this idea of building in public. This is my version of that, right? I will actually pin examples of logos, business cards, anything that I find interesting and useful for my own brand or for my own client projects. And rather than saving those away in a folder, for only me to see on my desktop, Instead, I'm doing this in a way that is also building community and in some respect, also building my own thought leadership. I've been pinning for years. I've been doing it, when I have a few minutes here and there in the middle of the day. And this has such an incredible compounding effect of, someone going to my Pinterest profile and seeing, wow, he's got thousands of great logo examples for inspiration. You're building a resource that is useful for you, but it's also useful for your audience. I talk a lot about this, the idea of being selfish when it comes to your content creation. Make sure you're getting more out of it than even someone else in your ideal audience. For me, I use this as a tool to document and keep track of resources for courses and presentations just like this. And then I mix in my own content, which you can see on screen. Mix in my own content, branded, simple pins within my own content that I'm creating. It could be linking to a YouTube video or a blog post and all these types of things that you saw a minute ago on my content workflow. Now, for those of you that are really new to Pinterest, let's talk about the 3 metrics that I think are the most important for you to be keeping track of. Chances are some of you are already tracking these, but we think about these metrics in terms of showing ROI, or we think about these metrics in terms of increasing the case or arguing the case like a lawyer would, that your work is valid, that your work is important, attaching it to metrics that quite honestly are much easier to achieve on Pinterest and other platforms. First, let's talk about, as we talk about achieving success on Pinterest, these are the 3 metrics you need to be concerned about. The first is impressions. This will be the number of people that have seen your posts. Very straightforward. I'm sure you're tracking that in other areas of business and reporting. Next would be saves. Number of people that have seen your or your client's posts and gone, wait a second, that's really cool. I'm going to pin that. I'm going to save that in my own Pinterest boards for reference later. Finally, very important, link clicks. So this is attached to what we might call a rich pin, which is a pin that has a hyperlink attached to your content or other content. And someone clicks it, they're taken to your website in most cases, or your client's websites, and that's where that pin lives, right? Where that information is stored. So if you're starting to dip your toes into this, these are the 3 metrics that I think are the most important for you to be tracking. And for you to be even just tracking to show, the ROI on this kind of additional effort, or let's say new service offering that you have for your clients. This is how you can back up the case that what you're doing is leading to results. And it might not happen right away, but certainly start to track it. And you will see if you continue to show up, you continue to tune in where there's demand, right? Again, Pinterest is a visual search engine, and it's very, very powerful in that. One of the most underrated things is the analytics in Pinterest, right? We think about Pinterest and we think, ooh, light, fluffy, curated workouts and recipes and outfits. Oh no. Look at this analytics dashboard. Without me even having to click on anything, right? I have access to so much juicy, wonderful data for reporting. And so I want you to know, the power behind these analytics. Pinterest is watching and Pinterest is reporting to you what people are interested in. And in my opinion, it's one of the best analytics platforms of any social media site out there in terms of how rich and in-depth this data is. We won't go into detail now because I simply don't have time for it, but I'm sure you're going to be hearing from lots of other great presenters that will dive a little bit deeper into this. So I'm putting this back on screen because if there's one takeaway from this time that we've spent together, I want you to build your own version of this. This is my own content workflow, and I have a unique version of this for each of my clients. As you think about this for your own business, remember, Pinterest is designed differently. Pinterest, unlike the other social media platforms, is intended to actually encourage you to click off the website. Right, it opens a new window, bringing you to the content that you want as a user. Every other social media platform is trying to keep you on the platform itself, right? Even Instagram hides links. You've got the link in bio, you've got links in stories, but even then, those don't convert very much. Instagram's not really motivated to send you anywhere else. Same, similar goes for YouTube and Facebook. People, even LinkedIn now, people have all these different, quirky ways of misspelling words or putting ones where eyes are to make sure the algorithm isn't picking up, link in bio or any of these other platform-specific verbiage. Pinterest is really, embraces the fact that users want to go elsewhere to get information. So I guess I would leave you with this. Well, we're not quite done yet, but I want you thinking about this. You're already creating content. Everyone here is creating content. And the case I'm making today is for you to start to increase visibility to that wonderful content you're creating in a quick way, right? In a quick way, using templates. Have a look at my own Pinterest templates. This is an Adobe Express, my favorite platform for creating standout content. This is a headline. This takes me about 30 seconds. Pop in some words in my branded fonts and colors, and I can generate a pin that can live at the bottom of a blog post. There's another one. That's a title with an icon or a description. Here's a title with an image. I can quickly pop in a stock photo or a brand photo, or I can even, here I'm showing you in Adobe Express, I click under here under Photos, which has an integration with Adobe Stock. I'm sure some of you use Canva. I prefer Adobe Express to Canva. Canva's a little Walmart-y, and I start to see templates and images all over the web, and I know they come from the same place, whereas Adobe Express, which is obviously from Adobe, is a bit more sophisticated. I find it more user-friendly. I find that it integrates more beautifully with all the other suite of Adobe tools that I'm using, like Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign. And by taking the time to create these templates in my brand fonts and my brand colors, it means that later on, I can hop in here very quickly and create what I need. Could my pins be even more visual with lots of custom images and descriptions? Sure, but I'm busy. And so for me, I lean into what I know I can create quickly. That means that I'm showing up in these platforms that I want to be. Here on the screen, I'm showing you text lockups, which are all really, really well designed. It's all straightforward. If you have not tried Adobe Express, I totally recommend it. I'm an ambassador for the platform, and I seriously love it for all of my quick graphic design needs. I want to talk about one more place you could go, also from Adobe Firefly. AI is dominating the conversation right now as we know it, right? Feels like every tool, platform, software is talking about now it has AI tools integrated. And I would say to you, everyone is claiming that, so it's on you to make sure the tools that you're using, subscribing to, and paying for are doing so in a meaningful way. I'm going to talk about Agorapulse in a moment, but for now I'm going to talk about Adobe Firefly. On screen, I'm showing you text to image. This is version 2, which is even more powerful than version 1. I like this tool. Version 1 is cleared for commercial use. So images that you create in here can be used for commercial use. Version 2 is not yet there, but we're expecting that to happen very, very soon, following in the same path as version 1. So this is, again, Firefly Image 2, text to image. So here I'm putting in a prompt of something I could never find a stock photo for. An airplane made from chocolate and marshmallows with confetti. I literally tried to find a stock photo for that and it didn't exist. Okay, so what I also love about this is I can even provide a reference image. So here's one I found from Adobe Stock that is chocolate-covered marshmallows. Take a second to upload that reference style, click refresh, and boom. We just created an image with the help of AI, specifically Adobe Firefly. That is a brilliant image that is certainly going to grab attention on pin boards and Pinterest feeds for users. So lots of people talk about, oh my gosh, AI, it's taking jobs and such. But I think in a lot of cases, while I'm an optimist, I think AI is actually helping us as business owners, agency owners, and creatives be more creative. Now, you're surely going to hear from Mike and team at this event about what is coming to Agorapulse, and I'm so excited about new features and AI capabilities that Agorapulse has to offer, including optimizing social posts, pin descriptions. Additionally, I think you're going to learn in this summit how to track linked pins and connect them to tangible business results using this platform's ROI reporting. Talked a lot about ROI in the minutes that we've had together. So look forward to hearing that. I'm super excited to jump in and start using these tools for my own clients. And I guess I would kind of wrap up on this sentiment that Pinterest is a a really positive platform. This is a recent article from Fast Company that cited an interview or a quote from Bill Reddy, the CEO of Pinterest, about his goal and his team's goal to make Pinterest a happy place in the landscape of social apps. There are other articles about Pinterest's goal of making it additive to people's workflow instead of addictive. And I think that's a refreshing, I would say a breath of fresh air in the social media landscape right now. This is really a platform that I'm proud to use. I'm proud to incorporate into my workflow for clients. And quite frankly, it's an easy upsell. It's one that clients see a lot of value in prioritizing when you look at the work required, to be active on the platform and really it being a path of lesser resistance. So this link, you will find these templates that I've created for you in Adobe Express. I hope you find value in these templates. Obviously, you're going to want to take these and adjust them and put them into your own brand fonts and colors, which is easy. My hope is that by you having something to start from, this is going to save you and your marketing team time. We've covered a lot of ground today. I hope you're feeling inspired and excited and with new ways to enhance your social media strategy and marketing efforts and ROI with Pinterest. Please, if you've made it this far, take a few extra seconds to say hello on LinkedIn or on Instagram. Drop me a DM because I'd love to be connected. Thank you to Mike and the team at Agorapulse for having me. Thank you so much for your time and enjoy the rest of the summit.